Headship's a really difficult job, and I absolutely needed some help to make sure I was managing the emotional aspect of the job. And because it was really taking it out of me. I'd engaged with some other services, and I'd had kind of coaching, and I'd had supervision. But despite all of that, the pressures were really high. And if I'm really honest, I felt it was a little bit unsustainable. I think there's been a lot of time that I've put into making sure now that I am slower and more reflective. School is incredibly busy, and it's really easy to find yourself pulled in 15 directions at once. And I would have one demanding meeting, I'd have one difficult decision, I'd have a child who would be really dysregulated, and I didn't take time to recover prior to the next event. And often those events would be similarly difficult. And so I'd find myself just kind of, I suppose, a bit burnt out and a bit on autopilot. And frankly, I was shocked at the difference that just 2 minutes of reflection and mindfulness could make. I think 6 terms prior to me doing the Inside Out program, I would finish and I would be exhausted, I would be tearful, and I wouldn't be myself. And I'm delighted to say that that's completely changed since completing the Inside Out program. I think also making sure that I've got a better strategic view. So maybe, and it almost sounds counterintuitive, but doing less. I'm not necessarily on the dance floor, but I'm looking over the dance floor, I think was something that, again, I'd not considered. And I think particularly in a really busy school environment, you want to lead by example, right? But you can't all be teachers. You can't all be LSAs. You can't all be MDAs. And I'm far better off being more effective at a slightly removed point. And again, what that's also created is space for those other people to grow. And perhaps I hadn't appreciated that previously. And one of the other things which I'd never really considered before were the kind of the child, parent, adult relationship dynamic, and having a way of viewing an interaction whilst I'm in the middle of the interaction. If someone's being unreasonable and overly demanding and unpleasant and unkind, I have a way now of understanding some of their behaviors, and again, kind of channeling some of that mindfulness, and rather than just kind of trying to defend myself or the school or kind of chip in with a response, is to look at, well, how can I move this childlike response back into an adult response? And I also catch myself as well now. So before I fall into my kind of child state, because I'm more aware of that, I make more conscious decisions rather than just relying on that kind of impulsive behaviors which I had previously. The thing is, I hadn't expected the change that I got. And I think from the online sessions and engaging with those materials, through the private reflections and kind of journaling that I did, and I didn't do a huge amount of it, but obviously it was sufficient to prompt those reflections. And the face-to-face work was really helpful. And I feel able to kind of continue with this job. And it's actually whetted my appetite for more. And thank you, Maggie, for everything you've done. Like it really has made a huge difference. So yeah, massively appreciate it. Thank you.